Welcome to Jappa Central. In this podcast, we explore the lives of people who've been born in one country and they've moved to another country. We explore their stories, how they grew up, life in their home countries, and then life in the new countries they've moved to. Hope you enjoyed this episode. So yes, welcome to another episode of Jappa Central. We have Henry in the house. Henry is a friend of mine. I've known him since secondary school days in Nigeria, and he's moved from Nigeria when he was a teenager to the UK. So, thank you. So yes, this conversation is exploring his life in Nigeria, how he grew up, school life, and then we're looking at how how and when he moved to the UK and what his experience has been in the UK. So Henry,
Yes.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So on this show, I like to start from the very beginning. I've already given it away. You grew up in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So do you mind telling me where you were born?
Okay, so I was born in a place called Navy Town,
Navy.
which is in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay. All right. And what primary school? Well, actually, before we go to primary school, what is your earliest memory of life whatsoever? Like, what's the first thing you can remember?
I would say playing when I was about 3 years old, just
With
playing
who?
in the sand with
Your
friends.
Friends.
Mostly, I would say people that were a lot bigger than me.
Was it in your house, outside your
no,
house?
definitely outside, like playing in the sand, running on the road, kicking football, getting hurt,
Yeah,
So, that's my,
standard behavior.
absolutely,
Standard behavior.
yeah.
Got you. Okay. And so that's your first memory. What was your family life like?
Yes.
Siblings and
Okay, so yeah, I grew up in a family of I have 6 siblings, so we're 7 in total. Grew up mostly with my dad, as far back as my memory goes anyway. I was 4 when my mom left, so it was a very sort of traditional African big family type of settings. I was number 6 out of 7 kids, so it was a case of me just always being the smallest one.
yeah.
Because my younger sister, she was not born in Nigeria. So, yeah, I was the little one, just having big brothers all over the place.
And how was it? Like, so just
It was tough.
Yeah,
it was
I
tough.
was
I mean,
like,
yeah, looking back, at the time, you're born into a situation, so it's what you get used to. So I didn't think it was tough. It was just, that's what life is. But I would say, looking back in hindsight, yes, it was quite difficult. Having to be in that kind of environment with a lot of dominant characters. Because most of my sisters and brothers, they were quite strong in terms of personalities.
yeah.
Particularly as my mum was not around, they sort of had to be the ones there
Yeah.
as adults. So yeah, it was a very strong and tough childhood.
Got you. So how do you think that childhood? Obviously, growing up with a dad, I'm Nigerian, and I know Nigerian dads are not the most emotionally available.
Nah.
Then you have brothers, older brothers who, they're boys and sisters, whatever the case may be. There isn't. Would you say that toughened you up a bit, or?
It definitely did, because it sort of molds your character. You're born into that situation, so all you ever know are the people around you.
Yeah.
So definitely, it did mold my character growing up. There are certain characteristics I see more in, say, my second eldest brother, as opposed to the one that's directly older than me. So we have quite a lot of similarities. So yeah, definitely, I would say it's something that molded me as a person. The strictness, the toughness, the playfulness.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. So what part of your character now would you say is as a direct result of your upbringing? Is it that you're less emotional, or you're just more focused, or less disturbed by things because you've?
Yeah, I would say the toughness of that situation made me feel, and still makes me feel, like no matter where I find myself, I will be fine. So I feel like if I found myself in Antarctica, for example, or a remote part of Australia,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely find a way to get through,
Mhm.
because it's always been a case of, it's just battles
Yeah.
constantly. You know, every other day, you know, the food you get the smallest portion,
Yeah.
even though you're looking at someone else's one, and you know you want to go for that one.
Yeah.
But you just learn to you know, live with it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to primary school. How were you as a primary school student?
Oh my God, I was a very difficult child.
Mm-hmm.
When I say difficult, I was always in fights, literally every other day, scars all over my body.
Oh, wow.
But what I did, in hindsight, I like to, you know, get involved with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that were around me, I didn't see them much as a challenge.
Mhm.
I always liked to get in trouble with people 2 or 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I was known as a very stubborn and difficult child at the time. And it was just the way I was. But I think most of it, though, would have to do with the fact that things around me were not typical of a child of, say, 6 or 7
Yeah.
growing up, because most people had both their parents. But in my own case, I didn't have my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand it at the time, I should say. But yeah, I just, you know, it was normal because I didn't know anything else.
So would you say that were you lashing out as a result of, or was it just that's the situation you found yourself in?
I wouldn't say lashing out as a result, but I was lashing out because I
Mhm.
would have lacked in some areas of my life at
Okay,
the time.
got you.
I think
Makes sense.
I didn't have much emotions at the time
Mhm.
because I just had to get by
Mhm.
with life and things. I used to get in fights and then I just start crying.
Mm.
But crying because, you know, it wasn't going my way,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because, you know, thinking about my mom not being
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
But I would say there were some instances, though, where there's something called PTA, Parents Teachers Association, where you get to see a lot of parents, like mothers and fathers, you know, they come into the school. But in my own case, it was maybe my elder brother or elder sister that will come to school. So I would be thinking, why is my situation different?
Different, yeah.
You know, and that did affect, I think anyway, my mental state of being, particularly coming to 12, 13 years old, because then I was able to think more and reflect more on my situation, and then, you know, think, okay, maybe it's as a result of not having your mother around, a motherly figure around to put you right.
So what impact did it have on your academics? How were you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I say it's a good question because my family, they were considered very brilliant. From number 1 to number 6. Number 5. Number 5 is my elder brother. So they were always having good positions in school. If they're not coming first, they're coming second. You know, in a class of 60, 65. But I was definitely the one that didn't know. I didn't know book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say. I mean, I remember, funny enough, in nursery 3 or nursery 2, as they call it then. I was about 5, 4 or 5. My result was 52 out of 54.
Oh wow.
Something like that. And I remember my elder brother, not the one directly older than me, but number 2.
Yeah.
He's about 12 years older than me. He said to me, I said to him at the time that, the people that have a low number, like 1 or 2, I don't think they've done very well. I have a big number. I have 52. And he said, yeah, you're fine. I didn't know that when I was going to get home, I was going to get a proper whacking. So I was happy all the way home. And then I realized that it's not a good position to be in. So I would say from the ages of 5 to about 10, I was one of those kids that was far behind. It wasn't until primary 4, which was I was 8 or 9, that my mother made me a promise. I remember at the time, through a letter, that if I come in the top 5, she would, you know, bring me to this country or something like that. Anyway, take me away from the situation. Yeah. So it's funny how I found a motivation at the time. You're looking for your phone.
Yeah.
You're sitting on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
I found the motivation at the time when I was about 9. So I went from, you know, coming say 50 something out of 55. I remember in primary 4, I went straight to second.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was astonishing, that little motivation I had.
Yeah.
And then
And it shows that's all you needed. You just needed
the right
no one to
motivation.
encourage you,
Yeah.
someone to encourage you, and
Yeah.
the right motivation to.
Yeah. I think I still have that as well. I when I have a goal to achieve, and I have doubts, because I'm thinking about various things. I mean, being 9 or 10, you're thinking, oh, you don't want to lose out on playing. But when you get told that, you're going to live in a different country, you're like, wow, because these are the things you've seen in photos, and then suddenly you think, oh, you have an opportunity to be out there. So I went from, in the first term, because it's divided into 3 academic year.
Yeah.
First,
3
second,
terms,
and third
yeah.
term. So I came second, and then in the second term, I fell down a bit to 4th. And then I came back up to 3rd. But yeah, obviously a lot of intelligent children around, so there's only so much you can do. And then in primary 5, the following year, I fell down to 22 or 21. And I don't know if as a result of the disappointment of nothing happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just happened that way.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've went to primary school, you finished primary school, and then you did your common entrance into Nigerian Navy, and that's where we met.
Correct,
so that was
96 into 97, I think.
I thought it was 97 to 98.
No, I think we definitely started end of 97, like September 97.
Oh, yeah, so 97 into 98.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, you mean the transition, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I started 98 because I missed the first term.
Okay.
Long story. I went to another school, but I made it to Nigerian Navy in the end. So, yeah, we met in school. And what was your experience? Before we talk about, how you were in school, what was your experience of school, Nigerian Navy to be specific? Nigerian Navy. So this is a shout out to Nigerian Navy Secondary School, Ojo, Navy Town. What was your experience in terms of the transition from primary school to secondary school?
I thought it was tough. It was always tough for me because I felt like everyone around me was very intelligent, starting from my own family. My brothers and sisters were always top of the class, and there I was coming 20-something, which was one of my better results anyway. But yeah, making that transition from primary 5, because I didn't do primary 6, but I was so determined. I used to be promised that, okay, my mom's going to come and, take me away and, I'll get to experience a different life. So I did find it tough when I went to secondary school. I was still just a slightly older version of myself as a little child. Was always getting in fights still, getting in trouble. I was almost like a crybaby as well. And I still used to play a lot. I think I was very slow to make that transition from a child into a young kid, because most of the people around me were always neat, clean, good socks, nice shoes. But me, I was always that scruffy boy, So yeah, it did take me a while to come into my own. More towards the latter years of secondary school. I would say SS2. So like the penny dropped, or I just went from 0 to 100. But yeah, I did find it quite tough. I couldn't even come in the first 40. Funny enough, because Nigerian Navy then was a private school, so you're getting almost the best of the people around.
It was a really good school for our area then.
Yeah. So the competition got a lot more intense. I felt anyway. I didn't believe that I could come first or second.
But
I knew I was.
When we had Chukwuemeka Okoro.
Oh my God! Yeah.
If anyone who's watching this from Nigerian Navy, Chukwuemeka Okoro was a legend, man. He came into our school and he took the first position till he left. That was it. Okay, so what was your favorite subjects in school? What did you enjoy the most?
I loved social studies, I think it was called. I did like English as well. I just liked the subject that brought creativity, or that was associated with creativity, because I used to like reading.
Okay.
So I think that's why I liked English, because you just read.
So you're kind of like an artsy student.
Yeah.
At
the time, I didn't know. I had no idea. I just.
What did you end up doing in from SS1? Was it
commercial?
Okay, so mid. Yeah.
Yeah.
you would have been better in I am and towards the end,
I
the
think
arts
so.
and the
I think so.
yeah.
But I don't know if we're going to get to that. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea to have that category of people that, you know, depending on your scores or the marks you get assigned to a certain class. But me personally, I was fine being where I was.
Yeah.
But having left the country, I was more towards the science side of things, which I wouldn't have expected.
Fair
at the
enough.
time.
I think I would have been. I went down the science route, but
Yeah.
I'd have done better on the commercial side.
It's almost like
yeah. Look at, you
absolutely.
see all the eBay stuff I was selling. So
Yeah.
but yeah, okay. So that was secondary school. After secondary school, what was the plan? Did you know that you were leaving the country at that point, or
No,
okay.
I had no idea.
Did you write JAMB?
I did. Just leading up to that. So I'll tell you a story that not a lot of people know. The people that I grew up with at the time, even my father, I don't think he knew. So in SS2, I was one of those students. They used to call us School 2. What School 2 is, those group of bad boys that you don't see often. You might
I
see
know
them,
the story, but I'll let you talk. Yeah.
you might see them once in 2 weeks, and that's when there's a test or an exam or something important. Then you will see, oh, who's that guy? Henry, he's still here. So I would say I fell by the wayside, you know, academically, you know, gambling, smoking, doing things that perhaps was not ideal at the time. But I always found the right balance. I could mix with those kind of boys and still mix with the regular type of guys. So I repeated. Funny enough, I repeated in SS2, or should I say, the marks I got was not enough to take me to SS3 at the time. But funny enough, I'll say there was about 10 of us across the whole school that repeated then. Just to put it into context, I was 15 then. And when you repeat, you get almost stigmatized at this numbskull, you know. Oh, he doesn't know book, this, that. So I felt quite ashamed of myself. And then the people that I repeated with were those proper School 2 boys that you don't want to mess around with. But there was one of us. I don't want to call his name, but he lives in America now. His father was very influential at the time, so he had the same marks as me. So then you had to pass 7 subjects. You either get A, B, or C. Out of 11 subjects maybe, and then you get promoted to the next class. But I had 6 passes, you know, maybe 4 C's and 2 D's or something. So I needed 1 D or 1 C to get to the next class. But this guy had the exact same results as me. He had those 6, you know, passes. And then he spoke to, I don't know, the commandant, or the overall head of the Navy. And they were able to water down the criteria from 7 passes to 6 passes.
So you guys...
So among the 10 people, like the real School 2, you know, had maybe 4 or 5, so they didn't stand a chance. But I was one of the ones that I was lucky enough. So there was about 3 or 4 people that got, you know...
Did your family know about it?
They didn't know.
Oh, they didn't?
They didn't know.
Lucky
because I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. So when school started in September, I couldn't go into my class with the friends I knew. I had to go and join this guys. Funny enough, most of the guys that I was supposed to join, I knew, I'd say about 75% of them personally, because in primary school, I didn't do primary 6.
Okay, so they basically came back and met you.
Yeah, pretty much. So these guys were the same age as me, roughly. So I was so embarrassed. I did go into the class one time, the younger class, and you know, it was a moment in my life where I was just confused. You know, at that age, I thought, wow, what's going on?
Did it make you want to work harder?
No, no, I was demotivated by that. Yeah, I didn't.
No, I mean like when you actually made it back into SS3.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Okay,
as soon as, you know, over the space of a week, we found out that we're going to join those people. it introduced fire in my belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, okay, this is never happening to me again. I
Got you.
hated that experience. So as soon as I came back to my friends,
Yeah.
I had like fire in me.
Got you.
And I knew it was coming up to WAEC, the equivalent of GCSEs.
GCSEs, yeah.
So I was very motivated to, put things right.
Okay, so after WAEC then, I won't talk about your results because it's not.
I just about made it through.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not.
Results,
it's personal anyway. But so after WAEC, what was your plan? Were you thinking about going to uni? What area? Like obviously everyone in Nigeria wants to go to uni.
Yes.
But what area were you thinking of staying in? Lagos or what was the situation?
I was just going with the stereotypical way of things then. You have big brothers and big sisters ahead of you. Years gone by, they've gone to certain universities. So by default, I made an application to Unizik, it's called.
Okay, yeah, Anambra.
In Anambra.
Nnamdi Azikiwe University.
Correct, yeah. So my other brother was in Futo, which was in Owerri. But I didn't, what I studied was, I was in commercial, I wasn't in science. So his university was a technological university. So I applied for one that would take what I was doing then. So I wanted to do business administration.
Got you.
I would say that I didn't know what I was doing.
So did you actually go to school?
I did.
Oh, I had no idea.
I went to so I did JAM the first time. I scored because normally once you score maybe over 180 or 200, you tend to get into a good university. So I remember my first score was 211. So I was quite confident I was going to get in, but for some reason my name didn't appear in the students for admission. And then the next year, I did JAM again, and I scored 223. So slightly better. But I still didn't get into university, and it's business admin. It's not like I was trying to get into medicine or law. So I started feeling frustrated. So I remember having a conversation with my dad that I don't intend to do another year. That I need to just get into, even if it's a polytechnic. So I ended up in a polytechnic. With the score I had, it wasn't a problem getting into a polytechnic. So I got into a polytechnic in Anambra called Oko. It was in Oko, Federal Polytechnic Oko, something like that. This was in 2006.
Okay.
Late 2005 till 2006.
So just before we get there, how long were you there for first?
A year, just under a year.
Just a year. Okay, so the year you spent at home, or was it 2 years you spent at home? How was it? What was the experience like? Were you frustrated? What were you getting up to in that time?
I wouldn't say it was frustrating sometimes, but I think that was the turning point for me. I'm thinking about it now because I was just with my dad. It was just me and my dad was quite elderly at the time.
What was this, Lagos or in the east?
Lagos.
Okay,
Lagos,
okay.
yeah. I would say my dad then was maybe mid-60s, and then I was a teenager. So a bit emotional sometimes because it was just me and my dad. So we went from this big family of 5 people around you.
Yeah.
Everyone was in university then, and then it was just me like going to the market, buying food, cooking. Those 2 years I think was amazing because
would you say it made you closer to your dad? Or?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, even now, I'm still the closest to my dad just because we had that period of 2 or 3 years where it was just me and him. So I learned how to cook. I became stronger because I had to, fetch water, do things myself. But also in the same time, I was able to harness quite a lot of skill that I didn't know I had, like playing pool. I was always playing pool and stuff. Yeah, you would know about that one.
I know. Let's move on from pool quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got stronger, fetching water. All my brothers and sisters were not there. I had to do. But I would say cooking was the skill that I really harnessed, like cooking.
And you still use it now? You still cook?
It comes naturally to me.
Got you. Okay, so when did you know you were moving to the UK? How did that come about?
I came as a bit of a shock.
Okay.
This is middle of 2006. So I didn't really know. I just my uncle turned up. My mother's brother, her younger brother, just turned up at the house one day and said, "Oh, we need to go to the embassy to do one or two things." And we went there, did what we did, and then 2 months later, I found myself in the aeroplane.
Wow. Was your dad aware? Was he?
He was, but at the time, he accepted it.
Okay.
I say he accepted it because there was an instance where my mom tried to bring me over when I was about 8. So I would say 7 or 8 years before 2006. My mom did try to bring us over, but we were so naive, me and my brother at the time, that we didn't, interviewing a 9-year-old or 8-year-old, you say certain things and then they just pick up on it that, oh, this child shouldn't be leaving. So my dad was kind of happy, as sad as it sounds. He was happy it fell through, but I don't blame him. Being
Probably
a father
wanted you
now,
to be
I
around,
understand, the next time around, I was a bit more clued up. I'd grown, I knew what to say, and I was ready. Middle of 2006 was the first time I left, but I didn't come straight to this country. I lived in Ireland.
Yes, I know. I know. So so let's move then. We've talked about life in Nigeria. When you moved to Ireland, what was your first experience like? What was the first thing that came to your mind? Was it cold when you landed?
Very cold.
It was very cold. Okay.
Very cold. Yeah.
So let's start from there. What was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, I can't talk about Ireland without talking about my experience in the aeroplane. Because that was the first time I'd flown. So we flew from Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria. We flew from there to Frankfurt, and then from Frankfurt to Dublin, Ireland. And funny enough, we missed our flight from Frankfurt. So it was me and my cousin that we were coming over. So it was a hell of an experience. This little child, not little, but 17, 18, in the middle of Europe by yourself. And then that was my first experience of life outside of Africa, West Africa. People see you just walk past you. You're trying to maybe get someone to help you call your
get
mom,
some help.
And they're like, no, sorry. And you're thinking, whoa, is this where my life is going to end? In the airport, in the middle of Europe. It was quite cold, I would say, but very quickly I got used to it.
Okay.
Yeah, very quickly I got used to the weather. I would say a month, but the accent.
The Irish accent.
The Irish accent, I thought was unbelievable. Let me use that word, because I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Got you.
For about 3 months, I could pick out 1 or 2 words in a full sentence.
Let's hear your Irish
What's
accent.
the story, Hoss?
Sounds good. Say something else. Say something else.
What's the crack?
What's
the crack?
What's going on? Got you.
Handy is a word they use a lot. Like, that's a handy way to go about things. Like a good way to go about things.
All right. So when you got to Ireland, you obviously knew you were coming to stay. What was the next step then? Was it college? What did you decide to do?
Yeah. So I was still a bit lost in terms of knowing what I wanted to do academically, but as soon as I started college there, because I went straight to college, I couldn't go straight to university because my results, I don't think, was good enough. I had to do GCSEs.
Same as me as well. When I came, I had to, it's part of the process. Absolutely. Secondary school, college, then uni. So
So I went into college, St. Kevin's College in Crumlin. For those people that know Dublin, Crumlin is close to. In fact, Conor McGregor is from Crumlin.
Okay.
I went to a college there, and I was quite smart, funny enough. So I went from this not so clever student, to being quite one of the top students,
top performers.
So I found that, and it wasn't until then I started knowing what I really liked, and I realized I loved geography. And technical stuff, things to do with drawings and building. I think in Nigeria we used to call it technical drawing. I think
technical drawing, But more around the engineering.
I realized that I had a thing for that. It came naturally
to you. Got you.
So, and then I was surprised because the last 5 or 6 years was all like commercial stuff and things, government, politics,
Yeah.
social studies, and the like, economics. But I realized that I was almost in like a box then.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I came out that I had the opportunity to
Explore that, and that's
explore
what's
something
important
different. Yeah,
for young people to to be able
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
be exposed to different roles and opportunities,
Yeah.
and then like look at you, you
Mm.
found yours
Yes.
closer to your 20s than
Mm.
your than your teen years.
Absolutely.
So okay, so what did you then zone in on? Actually, while you were in college, were you working? Did you get a part-time job?
No, I
okay,
wasn't
you just
working.
studied
Yeah,
full time.
I was just studying. I was very focused at the time because as soon as things became a bit clearer to me, I knew what I wanted to do.
Got you.
So I was very determined to make the most out of life. That was when I actually started writing a book.
Okay.
I had the inspiration because I was always quite creative.
Yeah.
I used to love reading, so I started writing my book at the time. So yeah, it was a very good experience. But I was just there for a year, and then we moved over here.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a really
So
eye-opening experience.
I think we'll probably need to have another session for us to talk about the book. But
Yes.
how far along are you with the book?
I would say I'm about 60% there.
Okay.
It's a book.
When are we getting it out?
It has to be next year.
Next year.
It
Yeah.
has to be next year. I have to
Are we
publish
gonna
it.
get the first draft? Do you want me to read the first draft?
Yeah, as soon as it's done.
Yeah. I'd like
definitely.
to have a
Yeah.
look. Okay, so we finished. You finished. Well, you were in Ireland for the first year,
Yes.
and then you moved to the UK.
Yes.
Let's touch on your life outside education in Ireland. What was your experience like? What did you think about living in Ireland? Was there anything you were surprised about, and was there anything that you were expecting that you didn't necessarily see? Living abroad.
I would say the biggest shocker to me was how lonely it could get. So coming from a place where you have a lot of friends and family around you, and for whatever reason, looking for a better life, you find yourself in a place where a lot of things gets catered for. You have your electricity. If something bad happens, you pick up the phone. The ambulance is there. So I found myself in this place where I was just by myself.
Got you.
So I learned very, very quickly how to be independent. So that was the best experience for me. Learning how to get on the bus. You tap. No, they don't use Oyster. They use like a card then anyway.
Yeah.
Put it in. But in Nigeria, you just pay. You just cash.
Everything's cash.
Jump in the bus. You pay in the bus.
Was there anything about Nigeria that you missed? So family, friends. Was there anything at all?
Absolutely. I miss my childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, my childhood, my family, and the friends I had around me. Just the experience.
Did it make it harder for you to live in Ireland? Then was it?
Not really, because that was my first foray out of Nigeria. So I felt like I just had to. To get into it, and that was funny enough. The first time I lived with my mother as a young child.
Oh yeah, that's actually another part we could explore. I don't know if we'll do it on another episode.
Yeah, we probably will. That's another full
I know.
itself,
but just in summary, or just overall, not in going into detail. How was it adjusting to life with your mom?
It was different, and I would say it was also interesting. Interesting because I thought, is this what it feels like? To have someone that is your mother, and when she cooks food and you taste it, it's your mother's food. This is what my mom's food tastes like.
As crazy as it sounds, it's amazing. I don't even.
Obviously, it's unique. You just like it by default. So it felt very good, but sometimes when it got difficult was when conversations had to be had about, say she says to me, what do I think of primary school? In my head, I'm thinking, you could have been there, to know what it felt like for me. But at the same time, I was always very neutral.
Yeah.
I never really took sides because my dad told me a lot of stuff that, negative, complaining stuff. But I always felt from a very young age, I don't know where that knowledge came from, but I always felt like everyone does something mostly for a reason. So whatever decision she made at the time when I was 4 to leave, she would have had a reason for it. So that kept me sort of level-headed. So yes, when my mom asked me questions that I thought, oh, you should have been around to know that, I always, explained it to her in the best way I could without really taking sides.
Got you.
But she was quite defensive, looking back now. Because
Of course,
obviously
two
my
parties everybody will have
my dad
their own
had,
reasons.
brainwashed us. And he would have had a grudge as well.
Yeah,
Imagine living 10, 15 years without someone you're married to. And he was a very religious man, and he was a Catholic. He didn't believe they should ever get divorced. So he just stuck through it. So we had our idea, or we had been told that this is the reason why. So it was a bit weird.
Got you.
Like living with my mum without my dad and getting used to it.
Yeah.
And then I was like the man of the house, as weird as it sounds, because it was just my mum, my younger sister who had never lived with, as well as my cousin. So there was just me now and, 2 women. Whereas coming from where I did, it was a lot of male presence, I should say.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, that's a different topic. If you want, we can explore a bit further. So you moved to the UK from Ireland. Well, no, sorry.
Correct.
Forgive me. Is Ireland not? What part of Ireland?
You're thinking Northern Ireland.
Okay,
I did move from Ireland. Southern Ireland is the Republic of Ireland.
Okay, is that part of the UK?
No.
Okay, so yeah. Okay,
Northern
so I was
Ireland
correct.
is-
Yeah.
you
Okay.
were right. Yeah.
My
I'm from
bad.
Ireland,
Yeah. I'm a smart guy. Whoever's
I don't
listening.
think your geography is great, bro.
Nah, not good at all. But so you moved to the UK. I'm guessing you moved to London.
Yes, straight to London.
And what was your experience then? Did you feel? Did you prefer it to Ireland or?
It was mind blowing.
Oh yeah.
Mind blowing in the sense that this was a whole new world. Because in Ireland, there's not a lot of black people and ethnic minorities as much as we have in London, obviously. So coming from Dublin to Hackney, Stoke Newington, it was like, whoa. And I thought, this is crazy. And I loved the chicken shops. Because growing up, I only used to eat chicken once a year. At Christmas, sometimes twice a year, Easter.
Yeah.
But yeah, knowing there's a chicken shop opposite. Like,
you could just rinse it anytime.
Rinse it like every day. And that got me into trouble, I'll tell you.
Oh,
medically, I should say.
Oh,
like
got
excessive chicken.
Yeah.
But
all right.
that's another story for another day.
Okay, so were you in college when you came to
Yes,
London?
I was. I was in a college called Connaught, College of North East London, in Tottenham.
And what were you doing there?
I was doing bricklaying and construction.
Got you.
So yeah, the year I had in Ireland made me, switch
closer
and
to
then
more.
I got more into the technical side of things. I was working on a construction site.
Oh yeah, was that your first job?
No, it wasn't.
What was your first ever job in the UK?
I used to work in Sainsbury.
Okay. That was my first ever job as well.
Yeah,
so
but mine was in a warehouse though.
still Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Mine was in the store, but we're still
is it?
Sainsbury's alumni. You get me?
Yeah, so yeah, that was 2007. Like, in fact, the year my mum brought us over was I got a job in Sainsbury warehouse, earning £250 a week.
Okay,
At
still
the
that time that was all right. Yeah. That was a lot more than I was.
Yeah.
That was a lot more than I was earning.
Yeah, but look, that was a bit of a side hustle. I had something else going on. Yeah,
Got you.
My school 2 days was not really done.
Okay.
I was,
Yeah. Okay.
falling again by the wayside.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense. But okay, so how did you get into construction then? You said you were working on a construction site. Were you just looking for a job, or did you go, you know what, I want to get into construction?
I was partly inspired by what my elder brother did, the one directly older than me. He's 3 years older than me, so at the time he was studying civil engineering in the university. So as soon as I realized, towards the back end of when I was in Ireland, I realized that I could actually do this. That's when I started having that, switch in where I thought about things. So getting into bricklaying and construction was like a springboard,
Yes, an
I
entry
should
for you
say.
to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did that for a year, and I applied to University of East London. And yeah, I got admission to do civil engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I started uni in 2008 there.
Okay. And what was your experience like compared? Because so you had primary school, secondary school, you had
Yeah.
a bit of university experience, and then you've gone to university in
Yeah.
the UK as well. What would you say the differences are? What did you enjoy and not like?
What I did enjoy was the freedom, freedom to like discover what I liked and pursue it.
Got you.
But previous to that, I was always restricted to doing like commercial or all commercial. You can only do maybe banking or
Yeah.
business administration and things like that. So I did like the freedom of knowing that this is what I'm going to do, and if I put in the work, stay focused, stay determined, it's something I could do.
Got you.
What I didn't like at the time, I used to find the travel a bit complicated.
Okay.
Mainly because I didn't really know my way around. So, I mean, I used to try to get the bus from Hackney to Cyprus, which was where the campus was, via Stratford. So I used to find that a bit complicated,
Got
trying
you.
to navigate.
Navigate your way.
Until, I learned, how to get around. I mean, then we didn't have smartphones as we do now.
Yes.
So I didn't have Google Maps, for example, to get around. So I had to learn. I had to learn really quickly because even though at the time I was living with my mother, there's only so much you can learn.
Of course,
The rest you just have to figure out as you go along.
Got you. Okay. So that was uni. You went to uni.
That was my first degree.
Okay, your first
I
degree.
got 2 degrees,
Okay, cool.
university degrees, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what was the next one then?
The next one was quantity surveying. So after about 3 years, 4 years here, I was, I started doing things that wasn't, the right way to be. So I decided I had to take myself away from London because I started getting in trouble with the police. Slept in the jail a few times. Saw a few friends get killed. No, one person I saw get killed.
Okay.
With my own eyes.
Gosh.
Got chased by a samurai sword once.
Someone with a sword.
You know them big
Yeah.
swords. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I did have a few instances. So there was 2 turning points for me. One was when I saw someone I knew personally get stabbed.
That's crazy. Me and you like friends, and I've never even heard this. I don't know this part. Okay, that's good. It's good to know.
And the other one was when I was working in Sainsbury in a warehouse. There was a gentleman I was working with. He was a Ghanaian, lovely guy. I'll say he was about 65. But I could see myself in him because he used to tell me about the stuff he did as a young person and how he's ended up working in a warehouse. And that scared me a little bit, like, goodness me, this is going to be me.
Got you.
60-something. So it was in that moment I decided, no, I have to take myself out of here, or try to, and see how I fare.
So where did you decide to move to?
I went back to Dublin.
Oh.
Yeah, I went
by
back.
yourself?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. So, a lot of my friends thought I'd lost it. I perhaps did.
Would
to
you
a
say
certain degree.
Dublin helped you just stay focused?
It
then?
did.
Okay.
It did. Dublin was like a filter.
Got you.
That's the word I like to use, because by default I was able to. Most of people I thought were my friends weren't really my friends, so they fell by the wayside, and we just stopped talking. Not because I intentionally wanted that, but because the distance.
Yeah, your real friends will your true friends
so
will try and keep in
absolutely.
touch.
So I went from having maybe 12 friends to 3 or 4.
So all of this stuff that you're talking about,
Yeah.
the difficult stuff you were going through while you were in London, was that while you were in uni as well?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
So in 2011, I went back to Dublin,
And what did you study there?
quantity surveying. So
Okay,
still
so this
construction,
is
yeah.
what you did, quantity
Yeah.
surveying. Okay.
What happened was after that day in the warehouse where I had that moment, I applied to different universities, not just one in Ireland, but some in Manchester, some in Birmingham, some in Liverpool. I just wanted to get away from where I was.
Yeah.
So Dublin came back to me and offered me a place.
Got you.
Yeah, accepted it.
Nice.
And then September of that year, I went to Dublin, and yeah, it was a hell of a experience because this is me as a man now.
Yeah, yeah, by yourself.
No mom, no, you just have to
Yeah.
hustle, and and as a black person, it could be quite tricky, I should
I
say.
can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, life in Dublin. How long were you there for?
I was there for 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah,
So now let's go back to, and you were working while you were there.
I was,
Okay.
but even before I got that job,
it was tough.
It was very tough.
Okay.
And I'll tell
Was
you a
it
story
construction?
no, I worked in
Okay.
Tesco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I worked in Tesco, and I'll tell you a story very quickly. So I'd saved up. I had saved up enough money between like February, March till of 2011 till September of 2011. I saved up enough money to pay my rent for 3 months. So in my head, once I got to Ireland, Dublin, I was going to get a job. So as soon as I got there in September, started uni, and I started applying for jobs, like any kind of job. I wasn't picky. I was happy to be a cleaner. I was happy to sweep the roads. I was happy to be a porter. Anything that means I can keep paying my rent.
Yeah.
Because I had no interest of going on the dole, as they call it, like to claim benefits.
Yeah.
I was never going to do that. I thought after 3 months, if I don't get a job, I'm going to come right back to London. But I wasn't keen on that either, because I didn't want to come back to that situation I was in. So I, after paying the third month rent, I started panicking and praying. Never prayed so much in my life.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see. I didn't have money
Yeah.
to pay the rent, and I didn't want to go on that dole. So I still remember this prayer. For those that are religious, better stay religious, yeah. I said, right, God, if you're out there, this is it.
This is the fight.
If you want me to go back to that,
Final countdown.
yeah, if you want me to go back to that mess,
Yeah.
that this is it. Fine, I'll go back. However, if there's something here for me, it has to work now.
Yeah.
So I prayed like I'd never prayed before. I used to live in this tiny studio with a single bed. I had a sink, a tiny oven, just enough space to walk. I prayed for like maybe 10 minutes, and then I heard one word. The word was patience.
Oh wow. Okay.
Very clear.
Yeah.
In the middle of, I'd say maybe 11:30
Yeah.
in the evening, I heard that word, patience. And then I said, and I got very emotional. I said, okay, you're telling me to be patient. I need to pay rent in about 2 weeks' time. But yeah, because it was very clear, the word. And that was the time I believed that, okay, it might not be God as we know it, but there is something out there. And then I would say within 48 hours, I got a phone call that, I applied for a role, which I don't remember for the life of me applying for, but I probably did, because I was sending my CVs everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just online, like 2 or 3
Stores as
days.
well,
I
yeah.
went into pubs, give them a hard copy of my CV. I applied for a role in Tesco as an operative. Can I come in for an interview? I was like, oh yeah, when do you need me there? Went for the interview, very straightforward.
Yeah. And got
And
the
the
role.
rest, as they say, is history. I got a job, and it was fabulous. It was fabulous because the Tesco I ended up working in was only about 2 minutes walk from my uni. So
Okay.
I was always going to uni and then walking across the road
to go to work.
Tesco. I didn't have to worry about traveling.
Got you.
know.
So when did you? Now you're in the construction game. Yeah.
Yes.
How did you, when you were doing your your course. You know,
Yes.
what was the second one you did? Civil engineering.
Quantity surveying was the second one. The first
When you did
was civil
quantity
engineering,
surveying, so
yeah.
you knew you wanted to be a quantity surveyor at this point.
But I had someone that I was working. So something I didn't mention, when I was in London, I used to work on a construction site, but I wasn't getting paid. It was a voluntary role.
For your course.
No, I just wanted to do it for
okay.
the experience. So the guy, a civil engineer, said to me that if he could go back in time, he would do something different. So I said, oh, like what? He mentioned quantity surveying. So subconsciously, that stuck in my head. So when I studied it, I liked it.
Would you say it was a good decision for
absolutely,
you to?
Absolutely. It's when you're into it, it's like you learn a lot, and you know, I wouldn't call it a click, but it's almost like a click. Once you're in, you learn.
Yeah.
You learn some moves and you know, how to get around, how to be smart, especially in this part of the world.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and so you've been doing quantity surveying since you left uni.
Yes, 2014. Yes.
Okay. What would you say has been the highlight of your? And you know, we're winding up the interview now. So, if you look back at the years you've been here, I'm guessing 17, 18 years.
Yeah, about 17 years.
17 years. What has been the highlight of you coming here?
The highlight for me has been the learning process, the knowing when to speak and when not to speak, learning how to listen, and understanding that everyone has an opinion. Because the first 17, 18 years of my life was restricted to a certain type of way of life. Where you don't really get to have an opinion because everyone else above you knows everything. You know, so I think for me, learning how to get by has been really good, and we've been lucky, not just myself, but you as well as some people, to have the best of both. So I'm able to tap on my experience as a young child and a young teenager, and get by in whatever condition I find myself. So in answer to your question again, it's just been the learning experience and understanding that if you work hard and put your mind to something, you could definitely achieve it. You just need to be willing to put the hard work in.
Got you.
Grit, and you have to be resilient as well.
Got you.
It's very important.
So I think you've almost answered my next question, because my next question is going to be my last one, and it is, if a young Henry, 17-year-old Henry, was to come to the UK today, I'm sure in your journey since you've been in the UK, you've learned, a lot more. You've accumulated a lot more information now than you did 17, 18 years ago. So what advice would you give?
I'll tell him don't go to the pub.
Was that the biggest issue? Don't go to the pub. Apart from that, what else?
I'm only messing. I'm not messing, but messing.
Yeah.
What I would tell him is hold on to your conviction that whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Don't be discouraged, and don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Be your own self. Focus on what you think you're good at, and just have a tunnel vision and follow that. That's what I will say to him.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end this interview. Sir H, Henry, my guy. Yeah. This is my Henry's been teaching me how to travel. We've had a few, mini breaks with the boys. So, but yeah, Henry, thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your story. I feel like we're going to have more episodes because you have quite a bit of depth and there's a lot of areas and topics that we can explore. And it doesn't have to be personal, it could just be about your views on certain things, so. But thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. And
thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
And please, for people who are watching, like, share, subscribe. Jappa Central, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Jappa Central episodes. Thanks for watching.